Now it's time to have a look at our database class. We are going to redo the class completely. Basically, we're dumping the previous class and we're creating a completely new one, which will be built, as you know already, using PHP PDO. Inside of our SSD folder, we're going to create a new directory called database. And inside of this directory, we're going to create a new PHP file. I'm going to use PHP class here called database. That simply creates a database.php file with the PHP file, obviously with some standard opening PHP tag. It automatically adds the namespace SSD database, because now we are not just inside of the SSD folder, we are inside of a little bit deeper, inside of the database folder. That's why obviously the namespace is now a little bit longer. And then obviously standard class definition. We're going to start after the namespace. What we're going to add is the use /PDO, because we're going to be using PDO class, which comes with PHP. Use, then / as well, PDO exception, because we're going to be using the default PDO exceptions here. And then we also use SSD helper. Okay, now that we know what we're going to be using within this class, we start with the properties. Protected, we go first for schema. After schema, we have another protected, which will be host name. Then we have protected database. Then we have protected username. And we're using protected because one thing I've forgotten to do is to make this specific class abstract. Using the keyword abstract before the class definition, make sure that we can extend this class, but we cannot instantiate this class from outside of the obviously anywhere in the code. So we couldn't do something like this, for instance, object db equals new database. That will throw the exception because we cannot do it. And I'm doing this way because this database class will have a common interface for all other extensions. We're going to provide three different ones, but three different options, but we're only going to build one for MySQL because MySQL is the database we're using. So I'll show you in a little, basically, not now, a little bit later on. Once we're done with the database class, we're going to create the extension for the MySQL, basically. You'll see exactly what I mean when we're going to start working on this. Then protected again, underscore password. So now that we have these ones done, now we go for the private. First private will be persistent, and by default we set it to true. Then we have private underscore fetch mode equals PDO constant called fetch assoc for the associative array. Then we have another private underscore driver options equals array. The moment is just an empty array. Then we have another private underscore connection string equals null by default. Then we go for private underscore PDO object, also null by default. And then we go for public affected rows and public ID. And after all these properties, if we scroll down a little bit, we simply call our constructor. So public function construct. And then from within the constructor, we'll simply call this underscore connect method, which we'll create in the next video.